All right, a victory, I'm not sure if it's temporary or permanent, for the Sekunjalo group regarding its accounts with commercial banks, notably Nedbank. There's been a ruling by the Equality Court. Certainly this was the first blow with the Western Cape High Court, and then there was the urgent interdict that was granted, which had costs prohibiting Nedbank from closing any of Sekunjalo's accounts, and it follows the company having all their bank assets frozen. There was some commentary from this as well from the Chief Justice, to which point there was some indication that the holders of accounts need to be afforded an opportunity to respond to any sort of allegation or misapprehension on the part of the commercial bank before accounts are closed. And for that, I suppose, Dr. Iqbal Survé on the line with me right now, the chairman of Sekunjalo Investments. Assalamu alaikum, a very good morning. I suppose to you this is a victory.
Alaikum salam, Tashreeq. Yes, well, I think it's not just a victory for Sekunjalo. It is a victory for, first of all, every person that banks with any bank, but in particular black people that these banks have discriminated against over the years. So in that sense, it is the beginning of, there were two important developments here. As you've quite correctly pointed out, the first is that Judge Delamo was scathing on Nedbank, which bodes well for our Equality Court application. And secondly, Chief Justice Zondo was even further scathing about the banks and their conduct in terms of the way they treat customers. So yes, so I think this is it's a very important decision for the future of the country, because the Chief Justice even went a step further. He said that the banking legislation must now be amended to give customers the right that banks have to, like in other countries in the world, banks have to take customers to court in order to close their account. They can't just willy-nilly do this without a proper court process.
And you kind of force Nedbank in particular into the space to reveal and to demonstrate essentially why they felt that being associated with you and your companies could be a reputational risk for them. Have they been able, in your opinion, to demonstrate that, or have they tried to do so, and what did they submit?
Well, we have always argued that the decision of the banks is political, and Judge Delamo indirectly has now agreed with us, because he has said that what Nedbank have done is discriminatory. In fact, he went further. He said Nedbank has conceded that Sekunjalo has done nothing wrong. It has never been corrupt. It has never money laundered. It has never done anything illicit, etc. Whereas there are other companies that have committed fraud and have in fact done many wrong things to Nedbank, and because those companies happen to be white owned. So yes, so I think in many respects, Judge Delamo's ruling, you see, I think it's important to remember this, Tashreeq, the banks are very powerful. 6 banks control 92% of the banking system. And the banks have never had somebody, that has opposed them in the way we have. And the reason is very simple. Ordinary people cannot oppose the banks because the banks have a lot of money. They have depositors' money, and it's very expensive. These legal fees that we have fought the banks has cost us almost 70 million to date. And of course, we're now taking 9 banks to the Equality Court, and Judge Delamo's decision gives us an opportunity to claim damages of billions of rands from all of these banks, and that's what the banks were scared of. You see, they put everything into the interdicts, all the banks, and now with this decision, I can assure you, the banks are really, really concerned, because they potentially have to not just pay Sekunjalo billions of rands in damages, they're also going to have to pay others that have joined the class action suit, billions of rands in damages for discriminatory practices.
Thank you very much, Dr. Iqbal Survé, the chairman of Sekunjalo Investments.